Hey guys, it's Rap Fika. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be today's video is going to be a little different from what I usually do. Today, because I posted on my Instagram a while ago. Wait, let me just say. So today I'm going to be talking about my experience of my dad dying, and I don't really know how I'm supposed to do this video, but I really wanted to do it. I saw she did it like I want to say a year or like a year plus ago, and I thought it was a really good video because a lot of people, I read the comments and a lot of people like resonated with her story, and I feel like it was good. Like she said, it was good for herself too, so I wanted to do that. But then I tried to do it once and that didn't really turn out well. So yeah, so I'm gonna try to do it today. I think it'll be okay. And I asked on my story like a while ago, because I was gonna do it a really long while ago, if people would ask questions, if they wanted to like know anything. A lot of people didn't ask questions, which I understand. Like, it's a touchy subject, so I don't think anyone wanted to say the wrong thing or anything like that. So I do have some questions too, but I think I'm going to start by going with the story, and then I'm going to finish it with the questions. And yeah, this camera's way too high. Oh, there you go. So I don't know how to start this. Okay, so also I don't have any makeup on, so if I look a little crazy, that's why. I do have brows on because I just did my benefit brow contest entrance video. And yeah, so just in case, you know, you're thinking, wow, Rafika looks crazy, that's why. And I look a little oily because I just did my skincare and she was dry, so she needed some extra oil. So we're gonna let her soak in right now while we film this video, because we have another video to film right after this. Okay, let me stop. So I am 18 now. It is 2019 March, and on December 13th of 2012, my dad died from lymphoma cancer. Yeah, my dad was always like in the hospital, like not like always, but he was in the hospital when I was a kid, and like when I got older too, because he had a kidney transplant like way before I was born. I think he had it for like 25 years when he died. I'm not sure on the exact number. But so I was always used to him being in the hospital sometimes, but he'd always go to the hospital and then come out, you know. That was like normal for me. Like, I used to know the setup of the hospital because he would be at Yale and like the cancer and the Smilo. I think it's Smilo or Smilo, I don't really know. But in one of the fridges they would keep Italian ice, and so I'd always go get us Italian ice, and I would like know all the nurses and like know their names. So yeah, but that was just how it was. So to me it was always normal. And then he went to the hospital. It was a little bit after my grandmother died. My grandmother died November 11th because it was a day before her birthday. And that was 6 days after my birthday, because me, my mom, my grandma are born, like, my mom's the 3rd, I'm the 5th, my grandma was the 12th. So yeah, so my grandma died and I was really close to her, so that was like already a lot for me. But I feel like I deal with death in different ways than other people. I kind of just, you know, like, I cry when it happens and I try to move on, and it's not like I'm trying to move on from the person or not think about them. It's just that, I don't know, I feel like I'm a person where I want to, not that I don't want to dwell, but that I don't want to put myself into a place of like depression. And I feel like if I do dwell too much, that's kind of what happens. So I kind of try to force myself into a more positive space after things like that happen. So yeah, anyways, my grandmother died on November 11th, and then my dad was in the hospital during that. He wasn't in the hospital when she died, because I remember he was out of the hospital, but he wasn't at her funeral, so I think he went to the hospital because her funeral was a little bit after. Yeah, because my dad wasn't at her funeral, which was weird because my dad was very close to my grandmother. The grandmother who died was my mother's mom, not his mom. So yeah, he wasn't at the funeral, so I believe he was in the hospital on the day of her funeral. But when he was in the hospital, he wasn't like too bad at first, but I remember he wasn't like walking around as much, and he'd be like way more tired, which was really odd for my dad, because he was more of those people, like both my parents are very like, get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and, you know, take showers and let's go outside and like do stuff and run all our errands and get everything done. Or even if they're not outside, it's like, let's get up, let's do something, let's play a game, let's clean, like we're up. So that was both of my parents, especially my dad, well, especially my mom, and then my dad too. They were very up and at it, so you know, that was a little weird. And I remember he couldn't go outside sometimes because he was too tired, because he lived on the 3rd floor, so he had to go down 2 flights of stairs. So I would like, my mom would bring me to go get him groceries and stuff, because me and my dad and my mom weren't together when he died, but they were always like really good friends, so it was like pretty normal. He was really sick during that time, and then he went to the hospital, and I was just like, he was in the hospital and then he was out of the hospital. Because I remember he was in the hospital at the time my grandmother was in the hospital, but I remember when he died, when she died, someone had called him before my mom got to call him, so he found out first and he started crying, and I didn't know why, and then later I realized that was because my grandmother had died. And so he was in and out of the hospital at that time, but he was doing a little bit of longer stints in the hospital. But after that, he was in the hospital, and that's when it kind of was going more downhill. He wasn't talking, he was sleeping like the whole time, because even when he was in the hospital, he was up the whole time. And I remember I was in the hospital with him. It was just me and him, and we were eating some Italian ice. And so they usually tell you to put like on a face mask and stuff, but I never did that. Like anytime I was in the hospital with him, I never did that ever, and none of the nurses ever told me to do that. So, but then this woman, this sister, she was Muslim, because she was one of the chaplains for the hospital, and so I knew her because she went to the masjid that we used to go to. Masjid is like a church for anyone who doesn't know, so it's like the place of worship for Muslims. So, okay. But she came in the room and she started like yelling at me because I didn't have a face mask on, and my dad was kind of like, cool it, because like he was still talking at that point, and we were sharing an Italian ice. And I remember after she said that, mind you, I was 12 when my dad died, I started like, oh, sorry if you can hear anything in the background, like my roommate, she's just being loud. I remember after that I got really upset because I thought, like, it wasn't right after, but after he died, I thought maybe because I didn't have a face mask on, was I like, maybe like, I don't know. What? Hold on, I'm gonna be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, after he had died, I remember thinking back to that and being like, oh, like maybe did my like germs get to him? But then I found out why he died, so that wasn't it. But I don't know, I felt like I had some of like guilt inside of me, but a nurse never told me to, and if a nurse don't tell you to, then I don't know. I don't feel like it means anything. That lady was just bugging off the beats. But yeah, he was in the hospital for a while. I'm sorry if the story jumps around a lot. I'm not really that focused. Well, I'm focused, but my brain likes to jump around. But after that, he started going downhill, and then all of my siblings came. So I have 15 siblings in total, but then I have 9 just from my dad. Well, really 11, but you know, 9. But I have 11 because my sibling's mom had 2 kids before she was with my dad, so I count them as my siblings. But I guess if you're just talking about like from my actual father, I have 9 siblings from him because he had 10 kids. I'm the youngest. So a lot of my siblings live kind of far out, like the older ones, like at the time it was Atlanta, like Maryland and stuff, and then they all came down at the same time, which wasn't really that normal. And I mean, since I was young, I feel like I was always very hopeful. I feel like I'm that way now, but because my dad was always in the hospital either way, I was like, you know, he's just in the hospital again, like he's gonna come out, because he always comes out, like he's always good. And so Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of signs that I should have known he was most likely dying, but I ignored all of them because I just felt like, you know, you don't expect your parent to die, especially like when you're 12 years old. I mean, maybe when you're older and they're like really old, you kind of expect it, but I was young, so. And on the actual day he died, it was Thursday. I hadn't been to school in weeks because since my grandmother and my father were both in the hospital at the same times, I was out of school a lot because I was with them at the hospital. And I was in 7th grade, I remember this. So I wasn't in school really at all. I spent a lot of days out of school, or if I went to school, sometimes I would leave early or I would come late. But we had a field trip to go see Lincoln. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's very boring. It's an awful movie. It's like 3 to 4 hours long. It's like the worst. But it was actually like a really funny day. And I was like, oh, like, because I told my mom, like, I was like, since I haven't been to school, like, my mom wanted me to go because at first I wasn't going to go. But my mom was like, you haven't been to school, like, just go on the field trip, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, I went. And I remember after the field trip, I was talking to my friend, Kianti, and we were sitting outside because I was waiting for my mom because she was late, which was also odd. My mom's usually not late, and she was like, it wasn't like 5 minutes late, it was like 15, 20 minutes late because I remember everyone had left by that point and it was just me and Kianti left. And I remember talking to Kianti and I was like, I haven't told anybody this, but, sorry, my friend's calling me. I told Kianti, I was like, I haven't told anybody this, but my dad's in the hospital and he wasn't doing that good, but I think he's really gonna get better. And she was like, oh, that's good. Like, I'm happy he's gonna get better. And then I remember right after she finished her sentence, my mom pulled up. And I was like, okay, bye, Kianti. She was like, bye, girl. And so I jumped in the car and my mom starts driving out. And then, oh, I forgot to mention also, by this time, my dad was in hospice. And if you don't know what hospice is, it's usually where people pretty much go to die, because my grandmother was in hospice before that. But of course, like I said, I was hopeful, so I didn't really, even though he went somewhere where my grandmother went and then died, I did not expect him to die. Yeah, so we went there. I was there a lot, but back to the story. So I got in the car, we're driving, and so hospice was like the other direction from my house. So my house is like this way, like on the highway, and you would go this way. So she took the turn to go home. And I was like, why are we going home? Because even when I did go to school afterwards, I would go straight to hospice or to the hospital. Like either when he was in the hospital, straight to hospital, when he was in hospice, straight to hospice. And those are both different ways from my house. So I was very confused. And so I was like, where are we going? And she was like, we're going home. And I was like, why aren't we going to see Abu? Abu means father, if you guys don't know in Arabic. Well, it means my father, but anyways. So I was like, why are we going home? Like, that doesn't make sense. And then she was like, we just have to go home to do something real quick. And like, we'll go from there. And I was like, okay, this is weird, but you know, okay. I'm like, maybe Umi forgot something, you know, she has to pick something up, whatever. So then we get to the house, we go downstairs on the first floor and we're sitting on the couch. My mom like sits me down and I'm like, what is going on? Like in the back of my head. And then she like looks at me and like usually my mom, like she's like serious sometimes, but like not really. Like she's not like a very serious person, but she was very like kind of flat face, like motherly, like kind of thing going on. And I was kind of like, what's going on? And then she told me, she sat me down and she was like, oh, like Abu died today. And I was like, I don't remember if I said what, but I know I thought what. And then I just started crying, and that was really hard because, like I said, you don't expect one of your parents to die. And I also think because I was young, everyone wasn't really telling me anything. And I remember at one point someone mentioned my dad's will, and I was like, will? Why are we bringing up a will? He's like, in my head I was like, he's not going to die. I don't see why we have to talk about a will when there's no need to. And so then, right, sorry for the beeping, there's a truck outside my window. Again. So, then the day after was his janazah, which is a funeral, and we went to the masjid, and I remember I wore my black abaya with the diamonds going down it, and my blue headpiece with the diamonds on the side because he bought me that headpiece. And because he went to a convention, I couldn't go because I had school. And I remember I came over to his house that day, and then he handed me a bag, and I was like, well, what is this? And it was like, at the time, it was my favorite headpiece, and like it's still in my drawer in my room because it like has a little, it's like really cute. Like it was actually my cutest headpiece like of the time. Like, but yeah, then the next day was his janazah, and we prayed and everything, and then we went to the okay, so I'm gonna take a little break. Okay, I'm back. So we went to the graveyard, and well, the cemetery, that's what they're called, cemeteries. And like at his funeral, I did cry, but there were so many people there, and I didn't really want to, I don't know. I feel like I'm a person who I don't really like to look a mess in front of people usually. And I was just like trying to be okay and feel okay. So that's what I kind of did. I did cry, but I kind of wasn't trying to bawl. But once we got to the cemetery, and they were like doing the prayers and everything, we were making dua, because dua is like, for people who don't know, it's kind of like when Christians hold hands and they, you know, and they do the prayer, you know, like, but like Muslims, like we go like this. And so Sheikh was, well, Imam Zaid was doing that. I think it was Imam Zaid, unless I'm bugging out. Imam Zaid did that. And I remember during it, he was talking, and Imam Zayd was doing the dua, and during it, I just started bawling. And I remember my sister Bayan, she tried to walk me away, because you know, like I'm bawling, so she, you know, wanted to console me and stuff. But I remember I told her, I was like, I'm okay, I have to stay, because I didn't want to miss kind of like the last prayer with my dad. So I stayed. And then after that, we because there is a house behind the masjid, and so they let our family use it, because like I said, most of my siblings came from far places. Ew, I have a cracky voice right now. So sorry. So, most of my siblings come from far places, and they all had kids. So instead of everyone having to like get a hotel and get another, like, you know, do all that, because they did that in the beginning, the masjid let them use the house, let us use the house. So after he died, we stayed there for, I believe, like another week, a week and a half or something, like around there, because everyone was trying to, you know, get everything situated, like with his apartment, and because my sister was still living there, and she stayed there after, and all his stuff, packing his stuff up. Yeah, and that actually reminds me when after he died, we went to his apartment, and we were like choosing what we wanted to like take from that was his, that we wanted to, you know, keep for ourselves. And I remember my sister, I think it was, yeah, it was, I don't know if I should say her name, so I won't, because I'm not sure if she would want to share that information, so I'm not going to say her name, or because there's another detail in there where you would know who she is if you knew us, so I'm not going to say that detail either. But I remember she started crying because I remember she said she felt like we were just all Like, she felt like we were rummaging through his stuff, and she just felt like it was out of place. Not out of place, but you know, it was weird. So she started crying, and then I remember we all like hugged. Well, I remember I hugged her. I don't remember everybody else, but I hugged her. And then, like, I have his this was actually one of the things I took. It's a little box, and I don't really know where I got it from, but it has these two little like meditation balls, and you're supposed to go like this with them. But I remember he would use them all the time, and then we would laugh because I would try to do it and I would always drop them. But yeah, and then I took a lot of his movies because me and my dad used to watch movies together all the time. And I took a lot of his martial arts movies because he loved those type of movies. And like my favorite one we'd watch together was Fong Sayuk and Chocolate. It's made in Thailand, and it was about a girl who was special needs, but she learned how to fight from watching like Bruce Lee. Is that the fighter? I don't know. But she would watch those videos all the time. She learned how to fight because her mom had cancer, and so she got money from all those people because her mom used to be in like gang stuff. So yeah, like, so I took kind of things that made me laugh and that we used to laugh about. So yeah, it was really nice for me. And so I feel like that's really the story. I'm not sure if I told it well, but I don't even know if I mentioned he had lymphoma, and the reason he died from it was because of I'm not sure if it was the chemo or just the medications in general for the lymphoma to like get rid of it or lessen it would have affected his kidney, and it would have mismatched the right red to white blood cells. So either way, he most likely would have died. So yeah, but now I'll actually get into your questions. I just have to pull them up. Okay, so I got the questions. Someone said, how long has it been? I mentioned it earlier. He died in 2012, December 13th. So it's been, it's been 7 years, almost 7 years now. By the end of the year, it'll be 7 years. Someone said, do you and your family still talk about him, or is it a touchy subject between your family? I feel like we do talk. We talk about our dad a lot. I don't think we talk about his death or what was happening at the time. I notice sometimes my siblings do, but I do not participate in those conversations because they do make me emotional, and sometimes I feel like it's too much for me, and I like to deal with my emotions by myself and not with other people. So I kind of just don't participate in those type of conversations. But whenever we're like remembering our dad or like something funny he did or things he used to do, like we talk about him a lot. Yeah. How do you think your life would be different if he was here? I don't know. I think I don't want to cry again. I think it would be, I don't know what difference it would be, but like what exact, like would I went to another college, would I've done this, that, like I don't really know those exact things, but I do know my life would have been overall better because I don't know, when your parent dies, I feel like for me, I know some people blame them or some people blame others. I don't really blame anyone. That's not really, I kind of try to think of things as a realist, and that's not realistic. And you know, people leave you for certain reasons, and sorry, I'm looking down. People leave you for certain reasons, and they things happen for certain reasons. There's no like exact explanation for all those reasons, or you might not see any positives because it's not like, oh, my dad died, there must be some positive like explanation to it. Like, no, I don't think that, but I think things happen to all of us for certain reasons, and it puts us where we are today. So yeah, but I think it would be nice to have him here because you think a lot about how when someone dies, like, you think about things they're not gonna be there for. And I feel like as a parent, like 8th grade graduation, my high school graduation, getting stuff to college, I was in the New York Times and all that kind of stuff, but I know he would have been proud of me regardless, so I feel like just that's good for me, and I'm glad I had some time with him. Someone said, how do you deal with the grief and do you subconsciously blame him? Oh, I just actually did that. I don't subconsciously blame him because it was out of his control, and I feel like that's a very hard part of the grieving process, and I feel like if I was to blame him, I feel like that would put more hate in my heart for him than love, and I rather have love for my father than hate. And yeah, that's not really how I roll. I don't like to blame people for dying. It's not like one of those situations where someone put themselves in that predicament or anything like that, like he died from cancer. So no, I don't subconsciously blame him at all. And how do I deal with grief? Kind of said it before, but I deal with it internally. I don't really like to talk to anyone. The only person, I've only talked to one person fully about it. The only person I fully talked about it with is my best friend, Lincoln. So yeah, I've talked to my siblings a little bit, but like I said before, I feel like, I don't know, because I'm with them, like I see them as him, kind of, in a way. Like, not like that, but like, you know, he's my dad. Those are my siblings because he's my dad. So I kind of like interconnect that. So I feel like sometimes it's hard to talk to them about anything. But like, that's not all like them or anything. It's just me. I don't like talking to people about things like that. I like to talk to myself. And so far it's going pretty good. It's hard to live without him, or have you gotten used to it? That question's kind of like a double-edged question, because yes, I am used to it, but not used to it as in I enjoy it, or it's not hard. But it's been like 7 years now, so I am used to not having my father alive, but at the same time I feel like I'm not used to it, because it's like sometimes I catch myself wanting like to call him or tell him some good news, but then I know I can't, so it's hard. And it's just hard when I accomplish things or when I do good. I feel like that's the hardest, because it's like when you do good, you want to tell your parents usually, and I can't tell them, so that's hard. How have you stayed strong? That's the next question. I feel like I'm not that strong, but I don't know. I have my mom, so she made things really easier, and I have so much family, especially from like his side, and everyone's very supportive, and I have my siblings, and so yeah. Like sometimes when I miss him, I always call them, because like I don't tell them that's why I'm calling them, but they just never know. But sometimes that makes me feel more comfortable, especially talking to my sister, because she lived with him, and then like it was always us three all the time, so that always makes me feel better. Did it take a major toll on your life, or did it affect you mentally? I think it did both, because I was with my dad a lot. Like I spent a lot of time with my dad, and I always say, like, with me, my mom, and my dad, and like my grandma, I feel like it was kind of like we were always all together, like all the time. And my dad and my grandma, like with my mom, it was always, that was my support system. And so losing two of them was really hard. So yeah, but like I always had my mom. She was always supportive and like would try to talk to me and stuff. I just didn't do that. So that was really good for me. I feel like if you have a strong support system, it does make it easier in a way. Because I feel like if I was like alone, it would have been really hard. Like, it was already really hard, but I feel like it would have been very bad, like, especially at that age. And my friends at the time in 7th and 8th grade, if they see this video, they know who they are. Even though I don't talk to, literally, I don't talk to any of them anymore, I always say I have a soft spot in my heart for them because they were there when he died, and they were my support system at school. Like, I would cry a lot, and I can't stop crying. Another break, hold on. Okay, I'm good. So yeah, my friends were my support system at school, and they were there for me a lot, and I would cry like all the time. Not all the time, but I would just have little moments of breakdowns. Like, even sometimes, like if people had like their parents come, like I knew my dad couldn't come, and like in music, like some silence would make me sad, and our music teacher would always give us the chance to sing during class. And one day I chose to sing Bye Bye by Mariah Carey. I don't know why. Why would I choose that song? That song's so sad. But I cried in the middle, and I remember the rest of the day they walked around the school with me all day. So yeah. So if any of you guys see this video, even though I know we don't talk, and I know we aren't friends, I appreciate what you did, and I always will. Yeah, so. Oh, did it affect you mentally? Yeah, it did a lot, but I don't know. I try to work through that a lot. So, someone said, do you think your dad is in a good state of mind? I know what they're talking about because they are Muslim, and she's talking about, like, is he in a good state of mind in the grave? I think so. I don't really know how to explain that, but yeah, I think he is. Were you made fun of as a kid for not having a father? I was not, and this question actually makes me kind of angry because not the person who asked it, but the fact that that's a question, because if anyone's making fun of anyone for not having a father, you're nothing. Like, you're an inhumane, toxic, disgusting person if you're making fun of someone for not having a father, especially in that tense, like they're dead. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. So if any of you are out there who are making fun of people for not having a father, you need to go see a therapist because something's wrong with you. What was your reaction? How have you been dealing with it? I said my reaction earlier, but I deal with it kind of day by day because I think about my dad almost every single day. I mean, well, pretty much, yeah, I think my dad every day because, like, his name was Rafiq, my name's Rafika, so most of the time when people say my name, I think of him because that's his name. And a lot of people try to nickname me, like they try to give me a nickname, and like I'm cool with nicknames, I love nicknames, but they call me Rafiq, and I always like cut that because number one, you know, like that's my dad's name, so like period, not cute. And then like number two, like since he's dead, it's harder for me. Oh, and also I know someone might notice that I do not say that my father passed away. I say that he is dead, and that is because I don't feel the need to soften the blow for myself. I'm okay with people saying dead and death. I know some people, they're not comfortable with that. So I'm sorry if you're not comfortable with that and you're watching this video and you're kind of like, well, this is too much. I understand. You can click out the video, like, no hard feelings. But yeah, to me, I don't see the reason why I have to soften the blow, because someone had said to me before, like, why do you say he's dead? You say he's like passed away. And I said, no, I shouldn't, because that's my own experience, that's my own life. And I remember I had this crazy teacher in high school and middle school, and he would always say, Americans always try to lessen the blow of death. That's why we say pass away or the person's gone instead of dead, but in fact they're dead. So yeah. Oh, how have I been dealing with it? Did I answer that? I don't really know how I deal with it. I kind of just, you know, go through it. I try to talk to myself and work on myself. Yeah. How often do you think of your dad? I think of him every day. What did he die from? He died from lymphoma. I believe it was stage 4. I don't really know. But it's lymphoma cancer. Which is, I remember when I realized, like, the color for, what's lymphoma's color? Like, the color for lymphoma, like the lymphoma awareness, it's lime green. And I mean, his favorite color was more of like a deeper green, but our last name is Akhtar, which means green, because that was his name before he became Muslim. So I always thought it was kind of, I guess, not funny, but I don't know. It was always kind of cute to me. Not cute, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like, it was his favorite color. So I wanted to like buy like a little lymphoma awareness bracelet. So, and it's his favorite color. What was the hardest part of losing him? I think the hardest part was that I was young, and the fact that I realized he wouldn't be at everything to come in the future. I think that's the hardest part. You know, like your graduations, your wedding. It's when you have kids, like, that's all really hard to realize that he won't be there for all of that. Do you think he'd be proud of you? Yeah, I think he would. I hope he would. If you could talk to him right now, what would you say? That I love him. I feel like, you know, I could go more in depth, but again, this video might turn into like 20 minutes of Rafika crying, so that's all that's gonna be. How did it affect you, for the better or worse? I have nothing. It didn't affect me for the better at all. I feel like, sure, you can do the whole makes you stronger, life lessons, blah, 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 but I don't really believe in that. So I feel like I'm not going to find positives of my dad dying. So I feel like I don't really want to answer that question because that's a little too much for me. Do you think his death influenced some great things you've accomplished? I think it did, so maybe that is affecting me for the better, but yeah, I feel like it did, because I feel even more now I want to do better for myself, even though he's not here and he can't see it. But what/who made it easier for you? I talked about it a little bit, but first I'm gonna start with my friends, especially my friends in middle school. Like, when it happened, they had, I guess you could say, the brunt of the work, because that's when, you know, it had just happened. I feel like I needed a lot of support at that time, and they gave it to me, and I'll always appreciate them for that, no matter what happens, and I'll always respect them for that, because they were really there for me a lot. Like, they did a lot, so thank you. And then my friends in high school, I feel like in high school I was kind of cool, like, not cool about it, but I feel like I didn't show my emotion as much anymore. It wasn't like I was crying all the time. I do remember, I don't remember why, but I was crying about it before, but only like a couple people had seen me, and I was just upset. I think because someone had said something like insensitive. I don't remember. I really don't remember. Because I do remember someone had said something once. I don't remember if this was the time I cried, but they made like a joke. But they were kind of like new, or like I just didn't know them that well, and they didn't realize that my dad was dead. And so then I was kind of like, yeah, my dad's dead. And then, yeah, that conversation got real awkward real quick. So, but definitely in high school, and now it's definitely Lincoln. He's the only person I talk to about it. He's the only person who knows like really how I feel or how I'm doing with that. Like, we don't talk about it all the time because I don't like to, but if I'm gonna talk to anyone about it, it's definitely him. And then of course my like family, especially my siblings, because they check in a lot. And you know, my dad always said, because all of my siblings are half siblings, but my dad always says you're siblings no matter what. So I feel like they try to keep that closeness, and I appreciate that. And then of course my mom, my biggest supporter. She's always been there for me, especially after he died, because I feel like after you lose a parent, there's kind of imbalance, because, you know, it's kind of like a yin and yang, you know? One balances the other out, but then once one leaves, it's kind of unbalanced. So, and I know she tries. And I know she's like a really good parent, and she does everything she can by herself, and it's worked, and I appreciate it a lot. So yeah, so that was all of the questions. I appreciate if you guys actually watch this video through. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna post this, TBH. I really don't know. I don't know if I can actually edit it, but thank you guys for watching. If any of you are going through anything like a loss or anything at all, and you want to like talk about it or you want advice, my DMs are always open. My Instagram is @rxfika, and this isn't like a Instagram follow me plug, but like if you ever want to talk about anything or you want advice, if I can help, I will. Yeah, so I just want to end this video with a message to my dad. I love you so much, Abu, and I miss you so much. I wish you could see this, but you can't. But I hope you're so proud of me now. I love you.